Many individuals' thoughts are molded by habitual ease and the pursuit of validation. They desire comfort over insight, thus remaining feeble, foreseeable, and innocuous. However, if one aspires to cultivate a mind that instills fear and unsettles merely through its presence, it must be forged from distinct elements: self-control, emotional detachment, and an embrace of the obscure. A man's greatest frailty lies in his inability to govern his own feelings. To be dominated by emotion is to relinquish control to the nearest manipulator. In every royal court, battlefield, and negotiation, the one who reacts emotionally is invariably the fool. Anger, envy, and pride are not indicators of strength, but admissions of internal turmoil, apprehension, and vulnerability. A formidable intellect commences with silence, not the silence born of ignorance, but that of strategic calculation. When affronted, most men retaliate vocally, revealing their vanity and susceptibility. Yet the truly formidable individual absorbs the offense, analyzes it, perceiving it not as a personal attack, but as information. He permits no one to dictate his emotional state. This self-mastery is the initial sign of dominance. A mind that instills fear does not react impulsively. It strategizes. Emotional responses are predictable, and predictability can be manipulated. When one rages, they are being directed. When one weeps publicly, they surrender their power. When one expresses desire prematurely, they forfeit leverage. A single emotional misstep can dismantle months of subtle maneuvering. Society does not reward emotional transparency. It penalizes it. In solitude, one may feel deeply, but even then, self-governance is essential. Train your anger to be cold, your sorrow to sharpen your thoughts, and your joy to remain measured. The moment emotion overwhelms the mind, the advantage is lost. Those who grasp this concept lead others. They observe for weaknesses in their adversaries, awaiting signs of internal collapse. When the opponent becomes emotional, they strike, not with physical force, but through influence, decision-making, or strategic silence. This silence renders the emotional individual appearing immature and powerless. Many equate emotional expression with authenticity and strength, but history suggests otherwise. Victorious generals did not weep for fallen comrades. Empire builders did not scream in betrayal. They remained composed, observed, learned, and retaliated with calculated cruelty. In the hierarchy of power, those driven by emotion are malleable. Those who master their emotions are the sculptors, shaping the world to their will. Begin with restraint. When your heart races, breathe calmly. When your mind shouts, quiet it. When your ego seeks revenge, deny it. Delay reactions until they become deliberate decisions. Nothing is more intimidating than someone who meets aggression with composure. It signifies depth, control, and unpredictability. People fear what they cannot decipher. When your expression reveals nothing, adversaries perceive everything. This discipline must become instinctual. Practice it in every interaction. When insulted, do not defend. When praised, do not bask. Receive both with the same demeanor. This is the visage of power, the cold facade that unsettles the masses and signals that you are distinct. Do not confuse this with passivity. Emotional control is not weakness, but preparation. A man who governs his anger does not shun conflict. He selects the timing, the battleground, and the cost his enemies will bear. His retribution, when it arrives, is not a reaction, but a calculated, irreversible judgment. A powerful mind is not built on comfort, but constructed in solitude, silence, and the consumption of truths so bitter that most reject them before they can be tasted. To instill fear through mental strength, one must first confront and accept the harsh realities others avoid. While the average person fills their mind with entertainment, gossip, and borrowed opinions, you must nourish yours with the knowledge others instinctively shun: painful truths, inconvenient histories, and the mechanics of manipulation. Humans are predictable because they fear discomfort. Many prefer distraction over enlightenment, seeking safety in affirmations and sanitized ideas. But the mind that seeks power rejects this, demanding clarity over comfort. Begin with the unvarnished truths of history, not the glorified tales of heroes, but the stark narratives of tyrants and betrayals. Study not the prosperity of societies, but their downfalls. Learn of betrayals, coups, silent poisonings, and smiling men with hidden daggers. These are not mere stories, but manuals with timeless lessons. Do not limit your learning to socially acceptable topics. Read banned books, study propaganda, understand cult psychology, and learn why masses embrace lies and why they desire them. Once you comprehend this craving for illusion, you can exploit it, stepping out of the fog while others remain lost. You will recognize the games being played because you studied the rulebooks, while others scrolled through distractions. Choose your philosophical influences carefully. Avoid abstract moral systems that assume inherent goodness. Seek thinkers who dissect the primal instincts within humans, understanding that under stress, people revert to survival, dominance, reproduction, and fear. Read them not for inspiration but for ammunition. Every idea is a weapon, every truth a map of control. View people as systems, predictable, programmable, and fragile. Psychology is not just a healing tool, but a framework for advantage. Learn the fears that control the masses, how scarcity and status influence behavior, and how emotion overrides reason in most decisions. With this knowledge, navigate the world like a hunter among prey, not with violence, but with precise strategy. Be cautious, though. This path leads to isolation. The more you learn, the less you relate. The clearer your vision, the more you notice others' blindness. You will observe them seeking approval, submitting to false authorities, and offering their thoughts for validation. And you will remain silent, for there's no point in awakening those who prefer sleep. Each mind that refuses to awaken becomes another piece on the board you're mastering. Your education must be relentless, not academic, not safe, not politically correct. The goal is not to impress, but to dominate the mental landscape. Study deception not to lie, but to detect liars. Study influence not to manipulate blindly, but to protect yourself from manipulation. Study fear not to succumb to it, but to weaponize it. Every subject you study must serve a strategic purpose. If it doesn't, discard it. A strong mind consumes what is ugly, uncomfortable, and forbidden, understanding that the world is ruled not by the hopeful, but by the informed. Information, especially the kind others avoid, becomes a source of unshakable advantage. The desire for approval is the chain that binds most minds. Society offers praise for obedience, applause for conformity, and warmth for compliance. But the mind that instills fear is not born from applause. It is forged in solitude. The moment you no longer need others' understanding, acceptance, or validation is when you step into true power. Until then, you're merely another actor in their play. Detachment from approval begins when you realize most people don't seek truth. They seek comfort. They don't admire strength, they envy it. They don't respect independence, they fear it. If you build a mind that is sharp, unyielding, and unafraid to see the world as it is, you won't be celebrated, you'll be resented, misunderstood, and feared. And that's precisely the goal. The masses crave belonging, aligning with dominant opinions even when hollow, following the emotional rhythm of the crowd, terrified of standing out. When someone dares to think differently, they're labeled arrogant, difficult, or dangerous, not because they're wrong, but because they make others feel inadequate. Thus, the herd punishes the independent thinker not for mistakes, but for their freedom. A strong mind must sever the need to belong, becoming indifferent to misunderstanding. When you speak, let it stem from clarity, not consensus. When you act, let it be from purpose, not peer pressure. You're not here to be liked. You're here to see clearly, think deeply, and move deliberately. This clarity comes at a cost: isolation. But isolation isn't a curse. It's a crucible where false identities are burned away and borrowed beliefs are stripped. In solitude, you confront yourself, not as others see you, but as you are. No audience, no applause, no illusions. This confrontation is brutal, but necessary. Weak minds avoid it, fearing silence because it kills distractions and exposes inner emptiness. The mind that instills fear doesn't dread solitude, it demands it, using it to study, train, and reflect. While others attend parties feigning enjoyment, the powerful mind sharpens itself in darkness, not out of bitterness, but strategy. While they network for status, you're building strength in obscurity. Some will attempt to provoke you, guilt-trip you, or shame you into returning to the fold. They'll label you as arrogant, distant, even heartless. Let them. These are merely tactics of the powerless, flung at anyone bold enough to break free from the pull of their mediocrity. Their voices echo the clatter of chains they still carry, chains you've already shed. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, to seek approval, to win favor, you become stronger. That resistance sharpens your mind, freeing it from the influence of passing trends and groupthink. Your words begin to carry a tone that is distinct, piercing, and unpredictable, and it's that unpredictability that unsettles them most. Not because you're a threat, but because your contrast highlights how domesticated they've become. Praise is a gilded cage. The moment you abandon your need for it, you start to perceive the true mechanics of power. Rejection loses its sting. You stop reshaping your ideas to soothe delicate egos. You stop saying sorry for noticing what others choose to ignore. In that solitude, where only your judgment matters, a formidable mind is born, one that grows in silence, untouched and unbroken. Such a mind isn't just smart, it's calculating. It doesn't merely watch, it measures. It doesn't react, it moves with purpose. It sees that domination doesn't come from brute force, but from insight and accuracy. The sharpest blade isn't metal, it's the belief in the blade. Mental warfare isn't about ruin, it's about command. And control begins where no one's looking, where thoughts are crafted, hesitation is planted, and fear is designed, without ever lifting a finger. To master this domain, you must realize most people are ruled by the turmoil within. They wear pride like armor, but beneath it, many hide shame, insecurity, and a craving to seem strong. A mind that unnerves doesn't ridicule these flaws, it exploits them. A single well-placed comment, a calculated pause, a subtle look of apathy can shake someone's foundation if it hits their hidden cracks. True control is never declared, it's inferred. When you speak, do it with accuracy, not volume. The crowd often confuses noise with strength, but real strength is quiet. It doesn't persuade, it states. The intimidating mind doesn't explain, doesn't defend, and doesn't beg for consensus. It talks like it holds a secret others can't see, and that alone is often enough to bend softer minds. Timing is crucial in mental combat, knowing when to withdraw, when to stay silent, when to wait before responding. These aren't passive moves, they're precise attacks. Your absence can unsettle more than your presence. A pause can carry more weight than a monologue. Keeping others uncertain is influence. People are unnerved by what they can't anticipate, and your unpredictability should be intentional. This mind also masters the art of shifting perception without resistance. It alters the story without needing to explain. It lets others believe they're steering, while it quietly guides. This doesn't happen through conflict, but through redirection. While others lash out emotionally, you act invisibly. While they charge, you deflect. They exhaust themselves, and you strike when they least expect it. Deception, used wisely, isn't dishonesty, it's armor. It's the protection of thinkers in a world of force. Lies told carelessly are weak, but illusions designed with purpose are strongholds. Let people believe whatever suits them. Show them only what you want them to see. You owe no one full exposure. Let the fool reveal his hand. The strategist keeps his power hidden. Understanding what drives human behavior is the key to psychological power. Vanity, guilt, fear of being excluded, desire for recognition. Learn these as a pianist learns chords. Know how and when to use each. Offer praise and someone becomes eager to please. Withhold it and they question their worth. Let them feel observed and they'll self-police. You don't need a cell, just let them imagine one. Your presence alone should carry weight, not through threat, but through intensity. A stare that doesn't falter, a silence that presses down, movements that are slow and purposeful. The powerful mind doesn't twitch or ramble. It builds tension by simply existing. Its composure reveals the chaos in others. Reputation is a battlefield. Defend yours not with noise, but with accuracy. Let your name suggest danger, strength, and mystery. Be the presence they whisper about but never quite understand. Stay mysterious. That's leverage. When people know everything, they relax. When they know little, they stay alert. And that alertness is simply fear in disguise. The goal of psychological warfare isn't cruelty, it's authority. You don't destroy people for sport. You shape environments with your mental dominance. It's not about forcing obedience, it's about conducting influence. The formidable mind doesn't shout, it whispers through walls, and buildings tremble. It doesn't chase conflict, but when conflict arises, it wins before the battle begins. The mind that inspires fear isn't formed by luck, charisma, or trendy motivation. It's built through brutal clarity, unwavering self-discipline, and a conscious rejection of the illusions that comfort the average. While others seek ease, applause, and emotional shelter, you must pursue truth, silence, and calculated command. You must train yourself to think independently, to act with exact precision, and to strike without noise. To forge a mind that causes fear, you must explore what others avoid, confront what they deny, and become what they dread. Someone who sees through the masks, is unmoved by opinion, and manipulates the board while others are still learning the game. In a world that celebrates obedience and punishes depth, you must choose to be the anomaly, respected not for your anger, but for your composure, not for your loudness, but for your presence.